you know?
Yeah.
Human emotion, our actual physical context.
Exactly. And the stack of sources we're pulling from today it's incredibly diverse.
It really is. I mean, we've got a raw and honestly somewhat unhinged audio recording from two designers trying to completely reinvent the fundamental concept of time.
Yeah, that file is labeled W Limestone Art 746, and it's a trip.
It really is. And then we have leaked chat logs, plus a ton of music metadata from that AI artist you mentioned, the one who goes by 72% human, or Dex Deshawn.
Right. And to cap it all off, we've got a developer's raw audio diary about curing what they call the dreaded AI goldfish memory.
Which is such a good term for it. But, you know, the stakes here are so much bigger than just updating your apps or downloading a new tool.
Oh, for sure.
This is fundamentally a battle of human design versus machine design. I mean, look at your digital calendar right now, or think about the AI tools you've been using lately.
Yeah. Do those systems actually feel like they're built for a biological organism? Because I don't think they do.
They don't. We constantly just accept the friction of these systems as if they're like immutable laws of physics. We contort our own psychology to fit the rigid logic of machines.
Rather, we treat the digital environment like it's a fixed landscape that we just have to survive in.
Yeah.
Rather than a malleable space that should adapt to us.
Exactly. And the people in these sources, they're looking at that digital grid, seeing how it kind of breaks the human spirit, and deciding to just rewrite the underlying code entirely.
Well, to really grasp how we might fix our relationship with technology, I think we have to start with the oldest machine that we all obey completely blindly.
The 24-hour clock.
The 24-hour clock. So in this first audio recording, the designers point out something that is so obvious, yet deeply disruptive. The arbitrary 24-hour grid we live on. It wasn't handed down from the cosmos.
No, it was standardized during the Industrial Revolution, quite literally to make train schedules work.
Right, the train schedules.
Yeah, I mean, before the massive expansion of the railways, time was entirely local. It was fluid.
Because it had to be.
Right. The grid was designed for mechanical efficiency. It was designed to ensure two trains didn't literally crash into each other on the same track.
Which is great for trains.
Great for trains. But it was never designed for fluctuating human biology or energy levels or creative flow.
So these two designers in the recording are proposing we basically throw that machine grid in the trash. And they pitch this concept they call blocks, not clocks.
I love that name.
It's catchy, right? Their argument is that scheduling an event at a fixed point on a grid, like saying, hey, let's meet at 3:00 p.m. is inherently broken.
Because it carries so much rigid mechanical baggage.
Exactly. Instead, they want to measure time purely in shared duration. So you don't say, let's meet at 3:00. You say, let's talk for 3 blocks.
And the psychological shift they're aiming for there is profound. When you demand a 3:00 p.m. meeting, you force a human being to anchor their consciousness to a specific arbitrary coordinate, regardless of what their mental state is at that coordinate. But a block is a universal constant of lived duration. As one of the designers argues in the tape, 3 hours of intense focus to you is 3 hours of intense focus to me.
It shifts the entire focus away from the industrialized schedule and just puts it squarely on the human experience of passing time.
Yeah, and they try to visualize this with an app interface they're conceptualizing, which they call the availability slider.
Oh, this part was fascinating. Because if you look at a traditional digital calendar today, it is just brutal.
It's a wall of harsh rectangles.
Right. Blocked out rectangles that dictate you are locked in from exactly 1.000 to 2.00. It's totally binary. You're either 100% free or you are 100% busy.
And human life never operates in a strict binary like that. You are never completely available or completely unavailable.
Never. So their interface replaces those rigid rectangles with floating circles and a whole spectrum of colors. And those colors represent the probability that you're available.
It introduces much needed nuance.
Exactly. You might look at someone's calendar and see a soft yellow circle, which means they are probably free, but, you know, it's not a hard guarantee.
And the mechanism behind this is what makes it so revolutionary, I think. It's explicitly designed to acknowledge capacity.
Right.
That color, that probability, is actually determined by how much energy your previous tasks just drained from you. The size of the circle indicates the duration of time you might have, but the color gives you breathing room.
Because an algorithm built to respect human limits knows that a deep work coding session leaves you way more depleted than like a casual catch-up call.
Exactly. It's essentially scheduling by the fuel left in the tank rather than exact minutes. It forces the person requesting your time to ask, does this person actually have the emotional bandwidth for me right now?
Right, instead of just, are they physically sitting at their desk at 4.0?
Right.
But as brilliant as that is, listening to the audio, they hit a massive speed bump. If you're only measuring in blocks of duration, you still need a starting gun, right?
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Because if I message you and say, let's talk for 2 blocks, how do we know when block 1 actually begins?
And this is where their design session gets deeply philosophical and, honestly, a little chaotic.
Very chaotic.
They attempt to solve this synchronization problem with a concept they call the anchor of now. In this proposed system, everything is measured strictly relative to the exact present moment you open the app.
So to make that visual, they propose mapping your day to a color spectrum. Let's say your personal sunrise is red, your high noon is yellow, and your bedtime is purple.
Okay, makes sense.
But the immediate realization is that if I am in New York experiencing my yellow high noon and you're in Tokyo, our local colors are completely out of sync. We have 0 shared language for now.
Right.
So one of the designers proposes this radical fix, which they call the universal rainbow.
The universal rainbow. They decide to divorce time entirely from local geography.
Which is wild.
It is. They suggest mapping a single absolute 24-hour color spectrum onto the rotating globe itself, based on the sun's absolute position in space. They refer to it as a z-axis of time, or a Rubik's Cube of time.
A Rubik's Cube of time.
Yeah. And the idea is that no matter where you are standing on planet Earth, everyone shares the exact same planetary color. Blue is blue, globally.
And you can just hear the tension instantly spike in the recording. One designer is completely enamored with this planetary God's eye perspective, and the other is stubbornly refusing to let go of their local physical reality.
Yeah, they really butt heads there.
And honestly, I am completely with the second speaker. I strongly push back on this universal rainbow concept.
Really? Why does it fall apart for you?
Because think of it like building a single massive lighthouse out of deep space that everyone on Earth is forced to look up at to know what time it is.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, poetic sci-fi concept. But if my physical now is a sunny morning with a cup of coffee, and your now is deep REM sleep in a freezing blizzard, telling me we are both currently at the color blue, is just a technological illusion. It completely ignores biology.
Yeah.
We aren't actually sharing an experience at all. We are just sharing a digital timestamp disguised as a color.
That is a great point. And that friction you're feeling and the friction in their audio is the ultimate clash between absolute global machine time and relative localized human time.
Yeah.
The human brain simply cannot decouple the concept of time from local environmental cues. Our biological clocks, our circadian rhythms, they are regulated by cortisol spikes that respond to the sun shining outside our specific window, not a theoretical axis of the globe.
Exactly.
You can tell someone's phone that it's the global color blue, but if their sensory input screams that it's pitch black outside, their brain just rejects the framework. It's the ultimate proof that you cannot just code away biological context.
Right. We keep hitting this wall where systems demand perfection and absolute synchronization. But humans are messy, localized, and exhausted.
We really are.
Which is a perfect pivot to the leaked chat logs of Dex Deshawn, the AI artist known as 72% human. Because here we have the exact inverse scenario.
Oh, this guy's fascinating.
Right. We have a human creator using a deeply rigid, industrialized system AI music generators to manufacture profoundly authentic, messy human emotion.
And the sheer volume of output hidden in his metadata is staggering. Over the course of about a year, this artist generated 20,801 songs using AI tools like Suno.
20,000.
20,000. But he only published roughly 870 of them.
Which is nearly a 95% rejection rate. Let's really think about the mechanics of that. That means listening to, evaluating, and tossing out over 19,000 tracks.
It's a full-time job.
It is. We generally assume AI makes creation effortless, right?
Yeah.
You click a prompt, you get a song, you go viral. But the reality exposed in these logs is immense, exhausting manual labor.
It completely reframes AI art from a process of automated generation to a process of extreme curation. And the methodology behind the tracks he actually published is incredible.
Oh, the Kevin Kelly stuff.
Yeah, he uses a document called 101 Bits, which are Kevin Kelly's famous 101 Bits of Advice, as literal architectural blueprints for the songs.
I found the mechanics of this just mind-blowing. How do you translate a short piece of textual life advice into the architecture of a song?
It's a massive translation challenge.
Right. For instance, song 1 is called Fear Average, and it is built entirely around Kelly's advice number 33, don't fear failure, fear average. Or song 3, 10 minutes, which is based on advice number 35 about spending 10 minutes looking at a single artwork to find its hidden details.
And the way Dex translates that text into audio is through hyper-specific, almost obsessive prompting.
Yeah, he's not just typing, make a sad song.
No, not at all. He isn't just typing, make a song about failing. He is engineering the sound of failure into the audio file itself. He's dictating structure. If the song is about not fearing failure, he prompts the AI to deliberately break tempo, to sound disjointed before finding a chaotic harmony.
And he explicitly bans digital perfection.
Yes.
In the prompt data, you see him writing negative constraints. No generic EDM drops, no cheesy builds, absolute zero autotune.
He hates the auto-tune.
Right. Instead, he commands the large language model to simulate, and this is a quote, raw vocal texture, an emotional crack on the climax, natural breath sounds, breathy consonants, and a subtle vibrato wobble.
By mapping those text tokens to audio frequencies, he forces the machine to sound broken, because he understands that perfection in digital creation is now completely cheap.
It's totally commodified.
Exactly. Anybody with a keyboard can generate a perfectly on-pitch, flawlessly mixed pop track in 4 seconds. It has zero intrinsic value anymore. What holds value in a post-AI world is engineered vulnerability.
In the chat logs, Dex talks to a friend about this exhaustive process, and he compares his creative bursts to overclocking a computer chip just to gain enough bandwidth to sift through the noise.
That's a great analogy.
It is. He points out that in hardware, overclocking burns the circuit, but the human brain can adapt to the overload. But, I have to stop and really challenge the core definition of what is happening here.
Okay, challenge it.
If the AI is generating 95% junk, and the human is just sitting in a chair typing breathy consonants and sifting through thousands of variations, is that human still a musician?
That is the big question.
Right. Or are they more like a diamond miner, where the value is entirely derived from what they choose not to publish?
Honestly, that might be the defining question of modern art, but I would argue they are a new kind of musician entirely. We have to stop viewing the AI as the creator.
Okay, so what is it?
It is not an artist. It is a raw synthesizer. It's a wildly complex instrument. Think about a camera. A camera can take 10,000 photos in a few minutes, but the camera isn't the photographer.
That's fair.
The human's 95% rejection rate is the proof of art. The machine can generate 1 billion variations of a vocal track, but it takes a human ear, anchored by lived human experience, to hear that manufactured emotional crack and say, that one. That specific flaw is the one that makes me feel something.
Because the machine doesn't actually feel it.
Right. The art is in the selection. Curation is creation.
I hear that, but it's still kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah.
It feels a bit like we are redefining creation to just mean having good taste.
I can see why it feels that way.
But regardless of whether we call him a musician or an editor, the chat logs reveal that working with this volume of AI output exposes a massive inherent flaw in the technology itself.
Yes.
The AI lacks an ongoing context. As Dex complains in the logs, the AI lies with conviction. It constantly forgets the intricate rules he gives it. He has to start from scratch every single session.
Which is the perfect illustration of what developers call the AI goldfish memory.
Right, the goldfish memory.
An AI can simulate a human emotional crack perfectly in a vacuum, but it cannot remember why you asked for it 10 minutes later. It has no long-term relationship with the creator.
And that brings us to our final source, the audio diary from a developer who decided to fix that exact problem.
Yes, W. Limestone Art 724.
Right. In it, the developer and their partner, Ben Sigman, discuss building a tool they call Mempalus.
Yeah, Mempalus is essentially a highly efficient local memory storage and retrieval system. To break down the mechanics a bit, it's designed to run on something called Claude CLI, which stands for Command Line Interface.
Okay.
That means instead of a pretty website with buttons, developers are talking to the AI in the raw text-based terminal of their computers.
Okay, before we go deeper into Mempalus, you just used several technical concepts that I think we should clarify.
Sure, absolutely.
The developer talks about running local LLMs to avoid API calls and save GPU usage. What does that actually look like for the everyday user?
Great point. So when you normally use an AI, you are making an API call. You are sending your prompt across the internet to a massive centralized server farm owned by a mega corporation.
Like OpenAI or Google.
Exactly. Those servers use massive graphics cards, GPUs, to process your request, which requires immense electricity and cooling. But running a local LLM means you download the AI's brain directly onto your own hard drive. It runs entirely locally on your machine. You aren't pinging a corporate server at all.
Got it. And Mempolis uses that local setup to create a permanent memory bank.
Yes.
The developer explains that it allows the AI to remember you, your entire conversational history, your creative parameters, and literally everything you've ever worked on together instantly.
And the philosophy driving this is profound. They argue that without human imagination and ongoing context, AI is just a search engine.
Wow.
Yeah, it only knows what has already been done. It has no curiosity.
Right. By running Mempolis locally, they're doing something quietly revolutionary. They save massive amounts of API calls, dramatically reducing environmental waste, but more importantly, they're completely privatizing their context.